What's on the front page of the BNF? It says government keen to have all exports insured to give local producers advantage. Also add nurseries, bungalows to Agenda 111. That's the Ghana Registers Nursery and Midwifery Association. They're saying that proposed GMPC ACA joint operatorship. Why 1.65 billion US dollars when you can have it free in 4 months. Local oil palm industry fights Guta over 50% benchmark policy. That's there on the front page of the BNFT. The finder says Frank Asiedu denies any connection to Suhum attack parties. And China proposes China-Africa partnership plan on digital innovation. Germany donates 1.5 million COVID-19 vaccines to Ghana. I'm told it's on the way following the president's visit to Germany. Government dispatches plane to bring it, according to Eugene Ayin yesterday as he addressed the presidential press corps. Minister seeks support of development partners for media. After not being paid salary for 1 year, she quits her job to become a boat driver. What's her success story? Buy a copy and find out. Daily Graphic. Germany gifts Ghana 1.5 million doses of AstraZeneca. That's the outcome of the president's state visit to Germany. Stakeholders commit to strengthening media trading, and Road Minister bemoans delay of our Bechebi Lamte project. Stray bullet kills 9-year-old. An energy sector special supplement is inside. If you buy a copy, you will find it. The New Crusading Guide. NDC can't run away from 4.6 billion Ghana cedis Sipton switch scandal. Boabinga Samuel, recently you saw the judgment there. Ghana receives 1.5 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccines from Germany. And Information Ministry engages development partners to support media programs. The Chronicle. Alan denounces Suhum machete attack. I condemn without reservation this barbaric act of some members of our great party. Ghanaian media deserve investment to improve output, according to Kojo Opong Nkrumah. 5 more COVID-19 vaccines coming. 5 million, I beg your pardon, more COVID-19 vaccines coming. And I played no role in Suhum clash, according to Protozwa, whose name must come up strongly. Protozwa denies involvement in Suhum clash. That's on the front page of the Daily Statesman. NPP deflates NDC propaganda as desperate efforts to cover up 2 billion Ghana cedi Sipton fraud crumbles. President not under pressure over MMDC's appointment. Really? Government rallies stakeholders for enhanced media freedom. And finally, the Ghanaian Times. Disaster, 5-hour downpour causes destruction in Tamale metropolis yesterday. And Kufuridia drivers' mates defy nose mask order. Police vow to crack whip. Marine police arrive in the Upper East region to deal with Bari Dam spillage. Yes, they don't have protective clothes, as we showed you earlier. 22 Fulanis arrested for illegally possessing firearms. Those are the details out there on the front pages of your dailies this morning. And my guest this morning, Kamal Dean Abdullahi, is a former National Nasara Coordinator of the NPP. He's also a Deputy National Communications Director of the NPP. Chief, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Great. What's the name?
Abbas Nuruddin.
Abbas Nuruddin, the
Ashanti Regional Communication Director.
Yes, you're a big man. Abbas. Okay, so
are you a communication officer or director?
I'm an officer.
So
whichever way
it's good you are coming home. No, it's good you are coming. At least it's good he's taking our.
So their party says officer, and yours says director.
Yes.
Okay, so you want that distinction.
He wants to be called a director. I mean, that's what he wants. It tells you the thinking behind it.
There is actually no difference between
I hear you. Come on. So you are 9 months now, if you will, into your second term.
Yes.
It does appear, and these are the voices on the streets as well, that already politicking and the campaigns have begun as opposed to delivering the public good. Is that the case?
Well, once again, good morning to you, good morning to Nuruddin, and to your viewers out there. I say a very good morning to you. The good people of Nantong, wherever they are, I want to say good morning to them. I hear the rains actually has been ravaging and causing devastating effects out there. I pray and hope that inshallah people are saved, lives and properties are saved. I hear in Tamale yesterday, for instance, some parts of Tamale experienced some 3-hour downpour, which actually resulted into flooding and all that. I mean, we should empathize with them and feel for them, as it were.
Right.
It comes on the back of we expecting also the Bagre Dam to
The spillage.
the spillage of the Bagre Dam, and we know what actually comes with it many a times. I pray and hope that all those people who live,
They have been asked to
along
move
those,
to higher grounds.
riverbanks, move to higher grounds and all that, because we don't really want to lose a single life in this country. So clearly, I want to empathize with them and feel sorry for those who have actually lost lives and properties. Once again, the people of Nantong, good morning. That's what. Now, you asked a question.
Right.
8 months down the line, after elections, why is the tone out there, okay, talking about next election again?
Right. Breaking the AIDS, campaigning already, instead of delivering the public good.
I have always maintained that it is the kind of system we have built for ourselves. When I say it's a system we have built for ourselves, I'm talking about Ghanaians. You see, we have turned, all of us, and I'm saying all of us, we have actually tend to look to elections than looking to, if you like, what would push our democracy forward.
Why is that?
Strongly. After elections, elsewhere in developed countries, what you see is that whether opposition or those in power, they come together, develop a commonality, look at the national agenda, push it. Now, as and when, the time is approaching again, it's kind of, it's like a convention, then people are awake. Again, they are into politicking or campaigning or strong, if you like, canvassing and all that towards gaining political power again. But here it's not the case. For me, I feel it's not a proper way of doing things. Okay? But who are we to say? All of us are to blame. All of us. When I say all of us, immediately after elections, NDC will be talking about next election. MPP is also talking about next election.
But you have been given
Where
a job to do.
major parties.
But you've been given a job to do.
Oh, why?
Why aren't you focusing on the job?
So if you are given a job to do, while you do the job, won't you also talk of election when, of course, your opponents are also talking about it? Or all of us are talking about it? That's what I'm saying. We have created a situation for ourselves. You understand? And I don't want to single MPP out to say, is MPP or is NDC? No. We have created a situation. And even people who are perceived to be apolitical, okay, speak about next elections. And I say, hey, we're waiting, we'll see. The next election is coming. Just after, immediately after election. Someone sitting, just join public transport. I've been doing it sometime. And you listen to people.
I join public transport.
So instead of we now
guys,
saying that, let us hold each other to the promises that we have made. Let's hold the party that we have voted for to, if you like, the manifestos that they delivered to us and all that. No. We are all talking about, well, we are waiting for next election.
But where the leadership of the party, for example, I've heard the president talk about breaking the 8 when MPP turned 25. I've heard the vice president say same. I've heard Honorable Alan Chamatin saying. So many other bigwigs, John Boydu.
I haven't heard the NDC also talking about
I'm asking a question. Now I've heard them say it, and I'm saying that you have been given a 4-year mandate. You have done only 8 months. In fact, the government is even not fully constituted at this time because MMDCs and other boards and CEOs are yet to be appointed. But you're talking about the next election. Are you being fair to the people who voted for you?
Isn't it fair that you account for every single day of your stewardship within the 4 years that you are given? Isn't it fair? Even if you are going to start tomorrow, or you are going to start yesterday, what's the name? A week to come, or 2 months to come, or a year to come. Won't it be fair for you to account for the day one of your stewardship? It will be fair. So just as it is going to be fair for you to account for your stewardship of the mandate that you have been given, so equally, okay, and objectively, can you also refer to same work that you have done to say that could also propel you into the next election? It's clear. You see, pundits have had it that immediately after an election, the next day forms the basis for the next election to to be prepared towards. You understand? So the point is, if we are done election today, the next day, if we are really a political actor, a strong political actor, who knows that this is going to come anyway, obviously, whatever you have done today, if it is good, account to the people, account to them of what you have done, and tell them that based on this, I am building a foundation for the next election. I don't think it's out of place at all.
Wouldn't you rather want your work to speak for you, as opposed to you trumpeting and telling the people?
Why, you would not have invited Nuruddin here, invited me here. I'm saying you wouldn't have even invited us here.
Allow me to ask my question,
Okay,
please.
ask.
Now, wouldn't you rather let your work speak for you, as opposed to you telling the people what you will do for them in future, when the food that has been given to you to eat is not finished yet?
I am saying day 1, day 2, day 3, all matter in your preparation towards the next election.
Okay.
So even if you have done 8 months, 10 months, and you are aware that you have done XYZ, which could be a propeller to the next election, nothing takes you away from saying that you're going to have a next election.
I hear you.
And again, when you say that let your work speak for you, it's clear. Even though your work is visibly seen, whatever, but reiterating what you have done and reminding Ghanaians of what you have done and telling them of what you have done and still doing, it's not out of place at all.
I hear you.
So,
Nuruddin, I see that your party is also doing the politicking already. Is it not too early? I'll ask you the
they
same.
don't even have a
set of
candidate. They still keep repeating candidates.
Thank
I don't know
you.
whether it's only one
I'll
person.
allow him. Come on, allow him. He kept quiet
Is John
for you.
coming again? John Mahama coming
He
again?
kept quiet for you. Come on,
thank you
Dean
very
Abdullah.
much, Johnny. And let me say a warm good morning to your good self, Kamal Dean, my brother, and viewers out there.
Right.
I do appreciate the difficulty Kamal had in seeking to
what difficulty?
answer the simple question you posed to him. Why have you been given a 4-year mandate? And barely when you have even started your 4 years, we see people going around, we see posters flying around, we see slogans all over of breaking the 8. Why is the MPP thinking about breaking the 8 when they were barely done with the 4? Johnny, this whole thing about breaking the 8 emerged 10 days after President Akufo-Addo had been elected, when he had not even been sworn in.
How?
In Kumasi, the posters of Dr. Bawumia breaking the 8 emerged immediately. Jane Mensah declared the elections. So it shows that MPP as a political party is not interested in governance. It's not interested in churning out policies that will bring about a qualitative improvement in the lives of the people. The MPP is only interested in winning political
Kamal
power.
says it's good to account for what you have done, so it becomes a springboard for
breaking
the next
breaking
victory.
the 8 is not. I don't see any form of accountability in that political slogan, breaking the 8. What they are talking about is how to break the 8-year political cycle, which is 4 years away, knowing very well that what will happen in 2024 will be very much dependent on the economic policies, their performance, how Ghanaians see their 8-year rule. So for a government not to be interested in bringing out policies that will affect the lives of the people possibly, but thinking about what is supposed to happen 4 years after is an indication that probably the government has some skeletons in its cupboard
Are you giving the government a run for their money, which is why they would have to do that? Because Kamal raises a point that, look, all of us start campaigning immediately after the elections are done. So perhaps you started your campaign too early. That's why they are also doing
Johnny,
the same.
Saying that will be missing the duties of an opposition party in a democracy. What are opposition parties who see themselves as alternative government supposed to do? They are supposed to present the alternative policies that government would want to shield from the public. They are supposed to point the loopholes and the leakages in government policies. When the opposition party does that, you cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, interpret that as the usual politicking. We are playing the role, but for the vigilance of the minority NDC in parliament, the Sputnik scandal would have passed and the fraud would have been perpetuated on Ghanaians. But for the vigilance of the NDC government, perhaps this ECA deal would have gone through. Playing those roles, playing those checks and balance rules cannot by any stretch of the imagination be interpreted as the usual politicking. We are playing our role. So government must focus on doing the things that will let the people have some reprieve.
But your flag bearer is going around saying that tables will turn.
Definitely tables will
one.
turn. And that seemed to be one statement that have unruffled the MPP so much, and the kind of response that has come, unfortunately, has been very uncoordinated and a bit, if you like, a bit, pardon my language, unintelligent. We've hired the communication director of the MPP, Mr. Boaboyan Samoa, come to say that there are no hardships in the country, and it is President Mahama that is creating a false sense of hardship. Really, that President Mahama, Ghanaians, one of the issues that featured prominently in the recently held Face the Country demonstration was the issue of hardship, the rising standard of living as occasioned by the introduction of nuisance taxes by the Akufo-Addo government. Not long ago, the Bakers Association in Kumasi came out lamenting that the raw material they use in baking bread has gone out astronomically as a result of the taxes that has been introduced by the Akufo-Addo government. You go to Kumasi and the poultry industry has barely grinded to its knees because the maize that they used to buy for 150 Ghana is now like 450 Ghana.
The Greek minister said we failed to hit those targets because we had drought. However, we are producing more and we are exporting as well.
I think that
he said it on Sunday.
Those arguments are not borne out by the fact, because if you look at some of the regions where maize is usually produced, I know maize is usually produced in the northern region, but Ashanti region and the Bono regions are some major maize producing. And I'm from the Ashanti region. Okay. There is no drought in the Ashanti region. You see, the MPP would always want to find a convenient excuse to hide its inefficiencies. Not long ago, when news broke that fertilizers are being imported to neighboring Burkina Faso, they came to tell us, exported to Burkina Faso, they came to tell us that there is nothing they can do because it is donkeys that are smuggling the fertilizers. So the MPP, the typical MPP that we know, would always want to pass the bat. Is it not curious that, Johnny, 9 months into the administration of a certain government, they have not been able to appoint MMDCs. They have not been able to appoint most of the boards of the
president says the consensus is happening.
No, this is the first time in the history of Ghana that a government, it's not a newly elected government where power has alternated from one party to the other. This is a government whose mandate has been renewed. So one would have thought that government should not spend like even 2 months in putting its government together, but 9 months. You know, the DCE, the MMDCEs are the political heads. Without them, certain decision cannot be taken. So now you go to a lot of rural areas because there are no MMDCEs, schools are not being built, waters are not being provided, and all of that. People are feeling the crunch of the ineptitude of the Akufo-Addo government. You go to state-owned enterprises. You know the board of state-owned enterprises are the highest decision-making body. Without them, a lot of these agencies are being grinded to a halt. But the president is not interested in that. He is only interested in breaking the eight because they've engaged in so much corruption that they think that when power change hands and their feet are held to the fires of accountability, they will find themselves wanting.
Thank you very much. So, Kamal, yesterday, your party's director of communications held a press conference, spoke about corruption, spoke about the recent judgment that was given in the Septim case. Say again?
Not yesterday.
Yes.
They held yesterday.
Right, they did yesterday, but yours was earlier. Talk about the Septim deal that happened and says that, they will continue to hold the feet of those who were accountable in the last administration to the fire for bringing such a mess upon us. Why now, somebody would ask?
Very interesting. I'm surprised and scandalized by the posture of the NDC, when the subject matter on the table has to do with corruption. The bravado with which they come to speak about it, the loud, noise they make about it. But sadly, corruption fight is not about opposition making loud noises out there, a cacophony of noises creating that atmosphere. No, that is not corruption fight. Corruption fight is about how you go about, appropriating public funds properly. how you go about building an economy that, of course, will not be attractive to people who want to involve in corruption. Clearly, we have said it over and over again that we are poised and ready to account for our stewardship. Of course, on several platforms, I have maintained that no system can be 100%. On several platforms, I've always said it. And I've always said this because you have a duty to perform. I do have, he has, okay? The government of the day and leaders also have a duty to perform. We've carved laws for ourselves. How well are we ensuring that those laws work? Okay? We have also come out to ensure that funds are given to people to spend on behalf of government and people of Ghana. How well have we ensured that this is done and done properly? I think this talk of corruption is something that we need to all sit down again.
Is your government committed to fighting corruption?
Why not? We are.
Prove it.
I am surprised they come to tell me when they do a press conference yesterday and then say, seek to exonerate His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the former president. I'm surprised.
Why
a man
you-
who
why you
was asked a
surprised?
simple question, have you been corrupt before?
By
Have
the
you been
BBC?
bribed before? And he couldn't answer that simple question. Went about, with all respect to him, rabble-rousing. Couldn't answer a simple question. You haven't received as a human being, as a whatever, I don't know. The man was all that. You saw it. The same person who up till now cannot own up to tell her who is government official one. He is the alternative. Government official one on the air, in the Airbus scandal, which Martin Amidu, they copiously, if you like, quoted Martin Amidu yesterday in their press conference.
Right.
And that he was a bosom friend of the sitting president. And that he himself had even given the president a name when it comes to corruption. Forgetting that the same Martin Amidu told them how a fishy passport was created for a connection man, the biggest connection man in this country.
What's the name?
John Dramani Mahama's brother, Samuel Adam Mahama.
I thought you put
He's the biggest
an
connection man.
Interpol red alert on his head.
I am saying, Martin Amidu, who they quoted
That's
and
granted.
referred to.
That's granted. But I'm
It's
saying
granted.
that you put an Interpol red alert on his head, correct?
Because there's crime.
Okay.
And of course, it's a process.
Now, it's been how many months now?
Oh, you said Interpol. You just said Interpol. Jurisdictions are at work.
Okay.
Okay, when it goes beyond your jurisdiction, you are supposed to have recourse to whatever laid down procedures you have.
Come on,
So we are on it.
Come on, when you put a red alert on somebody's head,
Yes,
the Interpol must present him by hook or crook.
I am saying.
Correct.
No, it's not so. I
What-
mean,
what
it's
is
a
it?
process. You see, let's face facts. Sometimes it doesn't just work like that.
Okay.
Obviously, you would have to inform whoever you have alliance with. They will have to do their work in correspondence with whatever laid down rules that they also have in their country until they get to the fin of the matter.
Okay.
Even though there's that agreement, but of course, like I said, there's a procedural matter here.
So is the
But
red
what
alert
material?
still on the man's
But
head?
see, what is material?
I need clarity,
Yes.
please. Is the red alert on Samuel Mohammed's head still?
The matter is still pending, so obviously
the
yes.
Interpol red alert
I'm saying
is
the
still
matter is
alive.
still pending, so obviously yes.
So it's still
but
alive,
you see, what is material is that the people who want to say they are chaste, they are clean, they are unblemished. That's the word. Let me use the word of his communication officer. Unblemished when it comes to corruption. The same person brought his brother, went out there behind us. When Ghanaians are looking for passport, they will even got a passport for him to become the connection man and establish a government official one. The same people. And he wants to be the alternative. How can he be the alternative? The same thing you have referred to. Under whose watch? Under whose watch? When BOG secured, what's the name? A judgment recently. Who is talking about it? When you go into history, okay, which you see sometimes, that's why I said that this corruption matter, we must all fight it head on.
Okay. How do you propose we fight it?
The people who claim that they are the best claim that we were rehashing stories. We're repeating what had happened. But what they did yesterday, showing slides and all that, was not rehashing. What a contradiction. That's NDC for you. We were rehashing stories. We're bringing stories of yesterday. They brought stories of just today. That's what they did yesterday. I listened and it was laughable.
It was?
It was laughable, of course. Why not? The man will choose to do cherry picking. when you talk about Ejapa deal, the same report that came out from Martin Amidu, Airbus was in there. And it took John Dramani Muhammad again. What work is that? You are sold to do Ejapa. Why are you doing Airbus deal? Forgotten that is also rotten. That one, we have even lost money. This Ejapa deal was not even complete. Forgetting.
In that,
so you see,
in that Ejapa report, Mr. Martin Amidu did a corruption risk assessment.
Absolutely.
On his own volition.
Yes.
He also identified that we had paid the transaction advisors, who are the lawyers, monies to make sure that we don't fall into this legal ditch. When it became apparent that we had fallen into the legal ditch, and for which reason the Ejapa deal was pulled out to be re-engineered, did we retrieve the monies from the corruption?
So what you are saying is that
the transaction advisors, the lawyers.
So simply, what you are saying is that the law passed by Parliament, seeking for us to establish such a fund or put a fund in place, and seeking for us to ensure the royalties that we get from all those laws, which were processes until we got the laws in place. And again, now in making sure that we establish this Ejapa deal, it is also a process. You need transactional advisors. You need all this. This process is started. Then somewhere along the line, special prosecutor, on his own volition, as you rightly said, says that, look, I think we should assess this properly so that in case there is going to be something untoward, we avert it. Comes up with a report. Then you say the work that has been done before, if any money has been given, whether legitimate or not legitimate, that money should be brought back. Is that what is the case?
No.
Absolutely. So if that is not the case, so why from this
come on, hold on. I think that your
no,
because Mr. Martin Amidu in that corruption risk assessment also said that the MIIF fund, okay, which had been sidestepped in many different ways, and that Mr. Charles Eduboyin, who is presently our Deputy Finance Minister, was also fingered in that report. Remember that he took decisions that were not his to take, that those decisions were the decisions of the Chief Director, correct? So that if that in itself happened, the process that you are mentioning was faulted along the lines. And there were transaction advisors who are legal brains who are supposed to have guided them through that this law that you are going on has not even been assented to by the president as of the time you were getting into that deal. Why should we pay the money?
So simply what you are saying...
I ask you to drive my children to school. You are not a qualified driver. You end up not driving them to school, but you want me to pay you at the end of the month. How is that possible?
Easy. I am surprised you want us to dwell on this matter. First of all, we didn't have a complete deal in Ejapa.
Right.
And I am repeating myself for you to get me much more clearer.
Okay.
I'm saying that there's a process in place. There's a foundation. Which foundation is the law? How to deal with our royalties coming or emanating from our, if you like, natural resources or whatever we have. Now, that is the foundation. In the course of ensuring that such a policy is put in place, you need transactional advisors.
Right.
You need legal advisors. Then you engage, rightly so, a legal advisor in this business.
Okay.
The legal advisor takes you a point, then the corruption risk assessment is done. Say, no, we don't think it is proper for us to ensure that this deal is brought to the fin. Because when that happens, this is going to happen.
Right.
Okay? Then you say that, oh, let's go back. All lawyers who did this work, bring back the money that you did. Does it ring a bell? Come on, for God's sake.
You are simplifying.
I'm not simplifying. I'm only telling you what it is. That's what it is. I'm not simplifying.
So I'm asking, what was the job of the transaction advisors?
What?
What was the job? Why were they brought in?
Was to look into the deal, all right.
Okay.
And they were, of course, in the process.
Okay.
And of course, I have my job to do as a legal advisor as to whether or not these documents are done properly or whether or not that is when we are going into it.
Right.
Then, of course, you say that, look, some 100,000 or some 220,000 has been paid
right.
to a legally, contracted lawyer.
Right. To do
you
what?
Say,
to do
to
what?
work on whatever documents you made available to him
and
to
tell you
scrutinize.
whether or not the law you are applying is applicable in this deal or not, correct?
Yeah, and why? Well, did the lawyer tell you that the law was not applicable?
Well,
is that what it is? Is that what we're discussing?
Did Martin Amidu in his report?
The subject matter is that some money has been spent. That's what you said.
No.
And that money has been spent. So therefore, the money has to be paid back That's the point you're making.
Kamaldeen.
And I'm saying no.
We're going to the corruption risk assessment that Mr. Martinamidu published, which you have heavily relied on.
Okay.
And I'm saying that in that corruption risk assessment, Mr. Martinamidu also indicated, among other things, that the transaction advisors could have done better. That Deputy Finance Minister, Charles Edubuahin, usurped and arrogated powers that he didn't have onto himself and did the work of the chief director. Subsequently, the deal was pulled. And I'm saying that if I hire you to advise me on how to do something, and it turns out that Abbas does a corruption risk assessment and says, we were getting the process wrong, should I pay you for leading me the wrong way?
Simple question. The report that came, did it indict the lawyers for doing inner work?
It was a risk assessment.
Did it indict anybody saying that lawyer, you didn't do a good job?
Okay.
Did I do that?
It was a risk
So
assessment.
if you give me a job, I have done my job, and you say that, look, because you claim that some finance minister or deputy finance minister took certain decisions he was not supposed to take, therefore the lawyer's work is, if you like, condemned, and that the money has been paid, he's not supposed to be paid that. That is not the case. But anyway, we are not discussing Ejapada. We are looking at holistic view of corruption.
Okay.
And I'm saying that what brought about this Ejapa matter is that if you do a press conference and choose to do your cherry picking, pick on whatever you feel is to your advantage, and then renege on whatever you feel is to your disadvantage.
Okay.
I think that is hypocritical.
Let me ask you a
very hypocritical.
Let me ask you a very final question.
I think they should have mentioned the Airbus scandal and the government official one yesterday.
So let me ask you a very simple question. The President of the Republic, proud to becoming president, 2008, 2012, 2016, had the tag incorruptible Akufo-Addo.
Yeah.
Can we still say the president is incorrupt?
Absolutely. He is still the incorruptible Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Can I finish my question?
I am only, you just asked the question, I've answered you.
Oh, okay. You thought the question was complete. Okay.
An affirmative.
So
he
the president
is still the incorruptible Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Tell me where he's
demonstrate it.
Tell me. You should be telling. That is why my general secretary said that you don't speak baselessly.
Okay. So
if you mention the president, you have mentioned they were there saying that John Dramani Mahama is exonerated. Right. He's unblemished.
I will
he's
ask you
clean.
questions.
He's whatever.
You can't speak for John Mahama.
The point is so simple. I gave you example of Airbus scandal.
Okay.
I can go on and on and on. I can give you a Smarties deal.
Okay.
Where we had to paint buses for some money and then say that even the money is too much. The chief of staff had to return some.
Okay.
Oh, bring some back. We have given you so much money.
Okay.
I can go on and on. The gargantuan corruptions caused in this country was under their watch. We didn't use those adjectives to describe them. They create loot and share. When the court of this country, Supreme Court, describe his government, we've not forgotten.
Okay.
If they want us to go on, and we can go on and on.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm saying that.
So you say the president is still incorruptible.
Why? He's still very incorruptible. Okay.
Tell
me what Nana Akufo-Addo has done that you think he's corrupt.
It is not for me to say. I'm just asking questions.
Give me the reasons and give evidence.
Let's take a look quickly at the NDC's press conference from yesterday. Sami Jemfi is the National Communications Officer. He addressed it, and we'll come to Nuruddin to pick his thought as well. I'll ask him the questions as well. Listen to this one.
Let me deal with what is perhaps the most ridiculous and preposterous of all the claims the MPP made at their press conference, which is the claim that they are fighting corruption because they are prosecuting some officials of the former NDC Mahama government. When you ask them, how are you fighting corruption? Oh, we are prosecuting Dr. Puni. That is their way of fighting corruption. This claim is very ridiculous and laughable because, as you do know, if the fight against corruption was all about prosecution of political opponents, then anybody at all can fight corruption. Who cannot prosecute his enemy? This is because the mere prosecution of political opponents is the easiest path in the fight against corruption. As President Mahama said some time ago, the true test of one's commitment to the fight against corruption doesn't lie in the prosecution of their opponents, but the prosecution of their own appointees. In fact, most of the cases of criminal prosecutions against some officials of the former NDC regime, the MPP keeps bragging about, oh, we are fighting corruption because we are prosecuting this former appointee of NDC and so on. Most of these cases they keep bragging about are beginning to crumble like a pack of cards right before their very eyes. What we are seeing is a desperate regime which is not interested in upholding fair trial and the interests of justice, but determined to do everything possible under the sun to convict former NDC government officials at all costs for cheap political goal scoring. That's
Sami Jemfi, is the National Communications Officer of the NDC. Nuruddin, so your party seems to present an image of incorruptibility of your flag bearer, former president, and of your party.
Oh, is he the flag bearer
and
now?
You are heaping all of it.
Sorry, is he the flag bearer?
I thought
you said he's flag bearer.
It's a former flag bearer onto the NPP. Why would you do that when you know that you also have skeletons in your cupboard?
You see, in the 2016 elections, one issue that featured prominently was the issue of corruption.
That's right.
The NPP created the impression that the NDC was so corrupt that they needed to be voted out of power for the MPP government led by Akufo-Addo to come and exact justice on behalf of Ghanaians. So 5 years into the administration of President Akufo-Addo, one would have thought that the MPP government by now would have incarcerated more than 20 or 30 key members of the Mahama administration. By 5 years down the line, you have seen that they are still struggling to even put up a good prosecution to establish most of their corruption allegations. It tells you most of the things that were said in opposition were nothing but political gimmicks intended to hoodwink the people in giving them political power. Kamal was here saying President Mahama was involved in Elba's President Mahama this, President Mahama that. 5 years down the line, and you have not even initiated any form of prosecution against him, that it means your government was not worth the power that has been given you. It's two things. It's either you were peddling blatant untruth about President Mahama, or your government is so useless that it cannot even put in place a good prosecution together against former appointees who have engaged in corruption. As we speak, the MPP have not been able to secure a conviction of not even one member of the former NDC administration. Usually they talk about the NCA trial. Most of those people are civil servants. And if you read the judgment, they were acquitted and discharged on the charges of stealing and corruption. The main reason why they were convicted was on the basis that they were supposed to seek the approval of the board. They did not. And for that, because of those procedural breaches, they are being sent to jail. If we are to use that same benchmark, Johnny, if you are to use that same benchmark to measure the MPP government, then half of these people would be in jail by now. If we are to use the benchmark of procedural breaches, statutory breaches, as a basis to allege corruption, which minister in the MPP government will not be in jail by now?
Give me an example.
Ajimai Menu.
Why
There's
him? Why him?
V scandal. At the time he engaged the Qatari officials, he did not seek parliamentary approval in line with Article 181, Clause 5. 2, the procurement processes were not followed. He lied on oath that more monies had been paid when about $2.5 million. This is a blatant example of corruption under the Akufo-Addo government. When Ghanaians were so incensed about this alleged thievery and urging the president to take action, the president sought to trivialize the whole issue to say in Doma that Ajimai Manu dear Wabreu and asked Ajimai Manu to go on a 2-year sabbatical.
2 weeks.
2 weeks sabbatical, thinking that at the time he is back, Ghanaian would have forgotten. Now, as we speak, Ajimai Manu has surreptitiously sneaked into his office and working as if nothing has happened. And
Parliament is after Parliament will come and reconvene, and the committee has done its work. The meeting of the whole will take a decision on that. So why not wait?
But the ministers serve at the pleasure of the president.
That's right. But Parliament also does checks and balances.
Per Article 58(1) of the 1992 Constitution, executive power is vested in the president, and anybody who wields executive power wields it in the name of the president. That is why presidents are sometimes able to take administrative decisions against ministers even before a parliamentary probe or criminal prosecution.
Kamal says that, for example, in the Japan deal, the transaction advisors had done their job in the lead up to the processes. And
I'm shocked.
When the deal is called off, you can't go back and ask them for a refund.
I'm shocked that Kamal, somebody who has a legal background, is making this legally.
I'm not a lawyer.
You are not a lawyer yet, but you have a legal background.
He's not a lawyer yet.
You have something to do with LLB. You have studied contract law.
Why,
and
why are you reading the man's CV on TV?
You see?
I don't know where
it is basic. It's a tried law that when the contract is void for illegality, no obligation or no right flow after it. And it was because of this principle that the Supreme Court asked Wyoming not to be paid a dime. Not because he had not done any work, because the contract itself was tainted with illegality.
Right.
This is the principle that has been established by the Supreme Court in the Isophotons case. So I'm shocked that Kamal, knowing very well that when a contract is illegal, nobody can claim any right out of it, is alleging that some legal services were rendered. Once it was established that the contract was illegal, no right could flow from it. So any money that we paid to Gabi,
No, which contract was illegal?
the whole Japan deal was said to be illegal, did not follow procedure.
But there was not even a contract. Was there a deal in place?
No, please. If there was no,
there was no deal.
or if there was no deal,
It was withdrawn.
No, that is what makes the whole thing illegal. So on what basis were the payments made? If there were no deals, on what basis were the payments made? Then people should give us a break.
So,
Gabi Asari Otredakun, his law firm, the African Legal Associates, were paid about $100,000 for work we are yet to see. And then
Kamal says the president remains incorruptible.
Highly incorruptible.
you see,
And that your candidate,
Very
the former president, the leader of the party, could not answer a simple question by the BBC's
Simple.
in Mocha, and he says that, well, that's a problem.
you see, before the 2016 election, the MPP, with the help of their media surrogate, created a certain bubble of incorruptibility around President Akufo-Addo. Now that bubble has burst, and even the friends of the president have come to know him for the corrupt person that he is. That when it comes to the Fourth Republic, President Akufo-Addo is the greatest enabler and promoter of corruption, and the facts abound. He is the only president in the Fourth Republic to have caught red-handed trying to take $800 million from the coffers of Ghanaians illegally. The Ameri miscellaneous deal. The president had the opportunity to seek approval. He chose not to go to cabinet for the document to be scrutinized. He chose to use his executive approval to approve the
Was he wrong?
Ameri miscellaneous deal. He signed the document. At the end of the day, when the document was subjected to scrutiny, it was realized that it was tainted with fraud. It has been inflated by $800 million. The president came to admit culpability and apologized and sacked the energy minister. Till date, nobody has been prosecuted.
Said he was misled.
You
So
see?
if the man who misled him is gone,
You see?
The man who you claim
Allow
to steal $800 million
allow
is
me,
sacking his
allow
minister.
me, allow me,
What are you
allow me,
talking about?
allow me. Let him have his full time. So
He's
nobody
confused,
says.
so I want us to-
No,
Crime,
he's a bit confused.
crime,
No,
crime, crime.
Abbas, hold on.
You are-
Come on, hold on.
You are rather-
I gave you 10 minutes. I
that's
want to give him 10 minutes so
No, I want
nobody
to help
says
him because
nobody
he's
says I'm
confused,
biased.
Kamal is rather.
So you
Kamal-
have 2 minutes more, boss.
Kamal is rather confused. When a person, you can't remedy criminal activities by administrative sanctions. When a minister has engaged in an act that is a crime, merely asking him to go home does not cure the criminal aspect of it. So we expected the president to follow up, if he was not culpable, to follow up and prosecute the minister. It's been 4 years and the minister is still at home. Is it the man you tell us is not corrupt? The vice president, Dr. Baumia, was indicted by the IFC report chaired by Ambrose Derry to have been deeply involved in the PDA scandal. That he single-handedly changed the bank guarantee that they were supposed to present as a condition precedent to an insurance guarantee, which was later realized to have been procured by fraud. As a result of that single act of indiscretion, error of judgment of Dr. Baumia, Ghana...
But he was not in the meeting alone.
Ghana, no, but he chaired, the committee indicted him that he granted that approval. So he can be held responsible for that. As a result of that error of judgment on the part of Dr. Bawumia, the third tranche of the Millennium Compact, $500 million, Ghana has lost it. The second tranche of the second tranche of the Millennium Compact, which was $190 million, Ghana has lost it. And the $200 million, equivalent to 1.2 billion, that the PDS collected within the 6 months they were in power, have not been accounted for.
Okay.
And President Akufo-Addo looks on as if nothing is going on.
I hear you.
So if people, I think if you pose this question to President Akufo-Addo, whether he is corrupt or incorruptible, he will have difficulties answering. You see, it's one thing. You see, when you go to KJTR, when you go to KJTR, there are a lot of pickpockets there. I don't think if you ask a pickpocket, are you a thief, he will answer he is a thief. But it is the state of affairs that determines the evidence available to us. The evidence available to us now indicate that President Akufo-Addo will go in history as the most corrupt, the greatest enabler of corruption of our
so we can't pick your pocket.
You've done well. You've done well.
Cookie, let's read some messages.
Okay, gentlemen, please hold your fire. Let me get to a few messages. Good morning, TV3. In fact, MPP has not fulfilled anything in this country. They have destroyed education. Products of goods are increasing daily, and Nasara from Yankbala sent in that one. Good morning, Governor Johnny. Do you know in Savlugu, an MPP executive is going through a hard time because the regional executive directed them to declare their support for Bawumia. Now, the guy says it's not the right time, and for your information, the Northern Regional Executive have declared their support for Bawumia already. Johnny, good morning. Please, our taps at Teshi First Junction have not been flowing for 2 weeks now. Please, kindly follow up so that the GH Water Company will open the taps. Jacqueline Frim sent in the request this morning. Good morning, brothers. We are now family. Let's come together to build Ghana as a nation. NDC, together we stand, divided we fall. AU Farouk from Tamale North says, good morning. In fact, it is unfortunate what happened in Suhum between Bawumia and the Alan camps. NPP is always exhibiting violence and arrogance anywhere they are. Julius Agaoa and Tahiru, they are saying President Mahama only echoed the sentiments of the vast majority of Ghanaians who feel scandalized by the unbridled corruption and plain thievery that has become the hallmark of the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government. The alarming scale of corruption under this government is such that Ghanaians cannot wait to exact accountability by voting the MPP after the 8th year turner in 2024. Regards to Alex Kwekwa Safwe J. Johnny, I honestly have issues with these panelists. They need to talk to issues affecting Ghanaians, not supporting and defending their various political parties. The blame game isn't working. Talk to the issues and stop the blame game. How I sent in that one. Good morning, TV3. I am surprised about Kamal Dean. The MPP has nothing to offer Ghanaians anymore. We are sick and tired of their ways of leadership. Ismaila Ali sent in that one. Hello, Johnny. I've done everything. This is actually an application for a job. And he's saying that he's been following Nanado. There's nothing happening for him. So he's actually applying to President John Mahama. That's John Mahama's name there. He graduated 2 years ago. He only rides an Okada to feed himself and his mother. So that is his contact number. That must be forwarded to John Mahama for a job.
But Kamal said last week that 11,000 people have been given clearance to be employed.
Well, this gentleman is obviously not part of the 11,000.
No,
yes. Kamal, if you can take note of this phone number, this gentleman is in dire need of a job.
Are you running a labor office?
Well,
I never knew you were running. I never knew TV3 was a labor office.
I mean, the situation has gotten so bad that people are sending applications through our comment platform. Good morning, Johnny. For somebody to say that the absence of MMDCs has brought underdevelopment, it's complete falsehood. When it comes to corruption and related issues, NDC JDM takes the lead. We can talk of the 9 million bus branding, embryo jet, Ford Expedition Saga, SADA 3.7 million Airbus, Woyomi, and whatnot. So NDC and JDM have no moral right to talk of corruption. Adam Swale in Tamale sent in that one. Good morning, Johnny. Please ask the MPP man in the studio what is preventing the president in appointing the DCs and the MMDCEs. Okay, let me try and take the last one. This one says that he wants to be a politician and that some of you politicians do not even understand the word politics. Some of you have to go through 10 years of schooling before you can become a politician. That's the import of...
He wants to be.
Yes, and he wants to learn. But it means that...
but we don't understand.
Yes, because you haven't gone through the 10 year. You haven't gone through the 10
Let's move on. Let's move
gone
on.
through the 10-year training. Yeah.
Okay, take your time, please. Okay, so let's wrap up the conversation this way. That question about the MMDC has come up a couple of times. We understand last week, for example, that Mr. Ejain said that, was he Ejain? No, John Boydu. He said that when the president returns within a week, the announcement will be made. I was for a second wondering what the party's general secretary was doing in meddling in local governance issues when Article 243, 240, 241, 242, 243, and the Local Government Act 936 are very clear that local governance should not be partisan. Was it the place of the General Secretary to be telling us when this will be done and why has it delayed, for example?
By arrangements of governance, and in fact by our own arrangement, whether NDC in power or NPP in power, but I'm speaking to NPP in power, the General Secretary, who is the chief scribe of the political party, attends cabinet meetings.
Okay.
Okay?
It's a silent member.
I just wanted to know, he's a silent member of cabinet. He attends cabinet meetings.
Okay.
The general party of secretary of the party that is in power, okay, by some arrangement, is part of it.
Okay.
So for you to take that away from him, you are not being fair to him.
No. So where was the
again?
Where was my uncle, the indefatigable Dan?
No, it doesn't matter. I've not said he doesn't have a
Where's
duty.
my brother Kojo?
You said you questioned whether he could speak to it, and I'm saying yes. Why not? You just use a silent member. You want to say that? And I'm saying that by arrangements of governance,
Constitution,
the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, and for that matter, the party in power, and I know for sure with the NDC as well, chief scribes of political party are or sometimes.
But that is not what the Constitution says. The 1992 Constitution says.
Now,
why has it delayed?
He's a citizen of this country.
Okay,
just as you have the right to sit here and ask why are MMDCs not appointed till date. Okay, I believe my general secretary has the right to speak to the matter if he has some information that will benefit you and I.
Where was the local government minister? My uncle Dan Kweku Botwe, my namesake.
I have not said.
And my brother Kojo Ponkroma.
Why? He's working on it, and they're working on it.
Why has it delayed?
If he has not spoken, doesn't mean the general secretary will not.
Why has it delayed?
Of course, they are working on it. It will come up.
Why has it delayed? Why has it delayed?
Johnny, before I go, let me use my time to respond to some of.
My
good brother.
No, we have finished the corruption conversation. Oh, we have.
My good brother Nuruddin.
I can't finish.
Has just told the people that he's very dazed and confused when it comes to corruption matters. Because frankly speaking, he knows they are certainly not the alternative in this country. He knows.
I hear you.
He knows they are certainly not the alternative, especially when they are repeating John Dramani Mahama. Same old stock.
I hear you.
Same old stock.
Our time is up. Thank you.
Johnny, I think the MPP,
Take 30 seconds.
The MPP changes any time they name John Dramani Mahama.
Oh, really? Oh, he's been beaten twice by us. So don't worry about that.
If they are
we'll hit him again
political strategists, they would know that the lies they peddled against him in 2016 will not wash any longer. And the results of the 2020 elections is a good indicator. This is a man who had 4.8 million in 2016. He increased that by almost 1.5 million votes to 6.2 million, in spite of the name calling, in spite of
they won election with 40,000 before you
allow me. You see, one Koko was reading the message. You would see that Ghanaians have genuine issues that they want President Akufo-Addo to tackle. Somebody was talking about issue of water shortages. These are the issues that President Akufo-Addo and Bawumia should focus. Now, when the time comes, you will help them break the age of corruption. You help them break the age of institutionalized bastardization.
Kamaldeen Abdullahi is former national Nasara coordinator of the NPP. He is also a deputy director of communications of the New Patriotic Party, and also Nuruddin Abbas is the communications officer of the NDC in the Ashanti region. He has a very important message from the Ghana Education Service. It's dated the 30th of August, written yesterday. is from the Regional Education Office in the Ashanti region. It says, urgent notice, 1 teacher per laptop project. The attention of the management of the Ghana Education Service has been drawn to the fact that some Metro Municipal District Directors of Education, in submitting the name of teachers for the laptops, have added names of persons who do not qualify, including non-teaching staff and retired or separated staff. The indications are that in some instances, some strange names have been added with fake staff IDs. District Director of Education are directed to ask headmasters to be responsible for the names being submitted. District Directors of Education and head teachers are reminded that such conduct constitutes fraud. All District Directors of Education are therefore requested to validate the list which have been sent and submitted an updated list by the close of work on Tuesday, 31st of August 2021, that's today, through the email address provided underway and the attached template. Please note that after that, the District Directors of Education will be responsible for any such false data submitted for your urgent compliance. And this from Mary Owuswe-Friye Miss. She's the Regional Director of Education, Ashanti. Small laptop. People want to steal from it. We'll see you after the break.